Hi, welcome to a new episode of Foodocracy for Her, and I should say welcome back to a new season. I'm Kalyan Karmakar, and your host for the episode. Foodocracy for Her is a podcast which is dedicated to women in the food and beverage industry in India. And today we are going to Kolkata to speak to Lahana Ghosh, who is a scion of the Jugal Mishti family, which has just completed 100 years. Lahana has curated and spearheaded the Mishti Literary Festival, the first of its kind. So let's go and talk to her and see what led her to sort of come up with it and what she plans to do with it. So in a second, we go off to Calcutta from Mumbai, thanks to technology. So there we have Lahana go. This is 1 second.
All good.
So there we are. We've got Lahana joining in from Kolkata. And so, Lahana, you've grown up in Kolkata and then you've gone to Canada to study. And then you've come back to Kolkata in 2020 during the lockdown. But that's an interesting trajectory. But what I want to first know is that how is it going in a Mishti family? I mean, does it make you a Mishti May? Like a sweet girl, like they say in
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I've always been a very big rebel all my life. So definitely does not fit into the category of the cliche Mishti Mein. Yeah. So no.
So how is it growing up in a sweet making family like Jugal's? Like, there's sweets all around, and I read somewhere that you're very proud of the fact that you know how to make every sweet. So
Yes, I do. So
yeah.
interestingly,
Huh.
my the house that I grew up in, the first floor of the house, my ground floor, was the Mishti Karkhana. That's traditionally how all the Mishti families work. Like the whole house is there, and then the first floor is the Karkhana. So I kind of grew up playing in the Karkhana. Like I've seen like 5 o'clock in the morning, the milk would come in, and then how the whole process happens. By the time I'm getting ready for school, I can see chana take khete bedhe rakha hocche. Like I've seen it all.
Wow.
So like I've kind of seen it for like 20 years straight every single day. So it's kind of like in my blood.
So talking of in my blood, were you allowed to sort of get some mishti out and eat it whenever you wanted, or take it to tiffin, or call your friends over?
No, no, no,
No,
no,
no, not
no.
allowed
I
to.
actually no, but I never liked Mishti growing up. I was like, it's always available to me. I
Yeah, yeah,
wanted the biryani, the chop, the
yeah.
so but then when I moved away and I came back, I was like, holy crap, how did I not like this growing up? Like
No, I
I didn't
understand.
have access for like
No, I
this.
understand
Yeah.
because when I was growing up, I was not really fond of Bangla khawar per se, but it's only after I moved out to
Me too.
Bombay that I started missing it. And my mom and grandma was really tickled by the fact that I'd go to a restaurant and pay money to have shukto, given the fact that I would never have it at home. So then you went to Canada to do your post grad, and then you were in the financial sector. You worked
Yeah.
for about what, 11 years in the financial sector. You became a
No,
Canadian.
I was there for a total of 10 years,
Yeah.
8 years.
So you became a
Eight
Canadian
years. I was
citizen
working for.
in the process. And
Yes, I did.
what made you
I
come back?
hated. I had to
Was it
denounce.
what made
So
you
my
come
dad
back?
had COVID.
Was it the
My
COVID?
dad had COVID.
Yeah.
So my father was diagnosed with COVID, but I already wanted to come back by I was like 35, 36. I wanted to be back in India and working with my dad. But then I didn't think it'll be so early. I thought I still had a few years left to kind of, like still stay in Canada and kind of do my own thing. But COVID happened. I remember just borders had opened up, interstate borders had opened up in Canada, and me and my sister did our first travel in October, and we were in the Okanagan, like driving back, and my dad called us and he was like, I've been diagnosed with COVID. And, it was almost like, okay, it was like a sign, like one of us had to go back. So we got the call on Sunday and I was here on Wednesday.
And was there any plan to stay back or anything then, or see that through and then go back?
I actually came with a 6-month plan. I was already working on my plan on digitizing the entire business from Canada as well. So I was like getting on Zomato, Swiggy, like the basics. I was trying to get them all done. So I had a 6-month pipeline. So I got here. I was like, I'm going to digitize everything, help my dad transition into retirement, and then he can travel or whatever and check the business. From home or from his cell phone or whatever it is, and he doesn't have to worry about it. But then I forgot one ingredient, that India is a different ballgame altogether. And we belong to the unorganized sector, and I totally didn't think of that, and it went through the garbage. Like it was just. I had to toss it out and I had to start from scratch. That's why I'm still here. I'm like, this is a
But this
long-term
despite people
game, and this
saying
is not a.
this despite people saying that Canada is now more India than India.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Canada
So,
definitely is becoming very Punjabi, not India, but
um,
Punjabi for sure.
so you spoke about like dad getting into retirement and you're taking over or sort of helping the business. So tell us a bit about the Jugal family, because you just completed 100 years, and from what I know, the business is named after your grandfather or great grandfather. So tell us a bit about the
Great.
family. Yeah, and tell
So
us a bit.
Jugals actually didn't have a name. When it first started, it didn't have a name. It was started by my grandfather's father.
So great grandfather.
But आगे जेरकम Yes, but it never had any name. Like it was like a no Bina Pani Mishta. It didn't have a name, but it used to run. And then when my grandfather took over, he said, you know what? Everybody is naming their stores on their like Nokur, Kesida. They're all naming the stores on
Kesidas and San,
themselves. So I'm gonna do this.
Kesidas and
Yeah. So he
San,
said, I'm gonna do this.
Ganguram
So
and
that's what he did. I'm
Grandpas.
gonna name the store
Yeah,
Jugal Kishore Ghosh. So that's what he did. The first original shop is in Shialda,
yeah.
and it is called Jugal Kishore Ghosh. So that's how it started. And then he passed away very quick, actually. My father was like 6 or 7 when he passed away, and my father has been going to the going to the business since he was 10 years old.
Oh,
And তখনকার time this was normal. Like it was very normal during those times for whatever the age of the boy child is, go to the shop and take care of the sisters and the family. Like that's how it was.
so
So
he must have had good
so he
staff.
started
He must have had good staff.
sorry.
No, so I said they must have had good staff to have been like, you know,
Very good. Some of
purposes
them are
around.
still with us.
Wow.
Some of them are still with us. Some have passed away. But yeah, they've and my Ammar Bhai, my dad's mama, my dad's mother's brother, actually came in to help. So
Okay.
he was like making sure that everything's running well, etc. So, and he passed away last year as well. He was 80 something, and he worked till like the last few. He loved. He was so passionate about like selling. So he was a sales boy, and he worked till like I don't know. He was like 80, 81 অব্দি কাজ করেছে. So it's crazy. And
So this is interesting because we spoke right now about two cultures, because you spoke about Canada and the Western world and the plus over there, which is, the structure and the process, and the digitization versus, India and a bit of the madness, to put it this thing. But the great Indian family, and this is such a wonderful example of it. I mean, your dad, 10 years old, and everyone coming together. So, I mean, the staff also in a way are coming together as family, because can you imagine that? Like, I can't imagine
no,
that.
I cannot. I
Yeah,
cannot. It's.
yeah.
I think the ecosystem is only possible in Eastern cultures, especially which are traditionally run, like China, India, like the Eastern part of the world. They have
I
these
thought you meant
traditional
east of
practices in
India. So
place.
you meant Asian culture.
No,
Yeah.
Eastern Asian culture where family first traditions. There are some bad parts of it which changes have not been made, but there are some like community. The sense of community is always there, where everyone kind of pitches in when something goes wrong, and everyone's there to help out. And you see the West where it's so individualistic,
Yeah.
and people are getting more depressed. The therapy costs are going through the roof. So yeah, and I think we, including myself, we've always chased the Western standards,
You bet, all of us.
constant
Yes. All of us.
Western
Yeah.
standards, and I think the West is chasing us, like the turmeric latte or the or they've patented turmeric, man. I'm so pissed. Like, I'm so pissed. Neem, sorry,
don't let
neem.
them patent Mishti Doi and Rasgulla. Don't let them patent Kachagulla like as a ricotta, sort of thing. And yeah, actually, I
Please
listened
no.
to
I
this.
hope I can get there before that.
I listened to this Yoga Nidra app, to rest every day, and it's actually a Western woman from Costa Rica. Yeah. So she starts off by saying Namaste and all that. So yeah.
There are so many retreats where like people are making money off Indian culture, like the yoga retreats where it's like thousands of dollars that cost you. I'm like, I'm not paying for that shit. No, sorry. Like my girlfriend will say, we should go to like Mexico for this yoga retreat. I'm like, no, sorry. Just how
Rather than that, go to Arvind Ashram or Kaivalya Dham or whatever. Okay, now now that you've come into the business, what are the way you're looking at changing it? Like, for example, this literary festival which you did, which is like, there's hard. I don't think there's any literary festival which has been around Mishti, and I mean there
Yeah.
been festivals around millets and stuff like that, but I can't remember any literary festival which has been around any food product and as such. So it's in a way the first in its kind as far as one knows, not just Mishti, but in any desert. So what is the thought behind this?
So when I first got here, I mean, actually, I was always aware what I actually wanted out of the business, and I am very aware of what the problems are and what the situation is within this particular sector. But there was no solution. I mean, joto research করেছি, it's a quotation. Like that so and so person said. So there are estimates like 1,000, sorry, koto, 1 lakh Mishti shops in Kolkata. I'm like, where is the data? Where is the actual data? You can't just say there are 1 lakh Mishti shops. There are like 182 wards in Kolkata. So if every ward had like 10 stores, it's still like 2,000.
Yeah.
Like, how can you see 1 lakh Mishti shop? Or like, how can you bring in these numbers or whatever? And there are so many issues that are happening within the industry, which only the Mishti walas are privy to, but they don't want to talk about it. Yes. And but then if you want to take Mishti and you want to scale it, if you really want to scale Mishti, you need data and numbers. If I want like a millionaire from Dubai to come and buy me out and be like, yo, spread it across the world, they will want to see hardcore numbers. Sales data থেকে শুরু করে, there is nothing. There's nothing within the market. There's no government contribution, academic contribution, none of that. So, and I was finding it very difficult to figure out solutions. So I actually thought, you know what, let's do a conference. And why not an opportunity like the 100th year celebration? Let's do a conference where you could have these specific topics picked, and then people can talk about, share their memories, share their journey, and then bring in all the experts from within the country and let them give us solutions. So even if you see like, is Mishti sexist or the future of dairy, like we wanted to bring in the experts and be like, tell us the solutions. So we're transcripting them right now. We'll publish them very quickly, but very soon. But that was the goal. Like, I wanted solutions and I couldn't do it alone. And everyone is so rigid in talking about it. Like even like basic things that happens within the industry, like the wage gap or the basic necessities, whatever it is, like they don't want to talk about anything. Even the people within the stakeholders within the industry, they don't want to talk about it.
So I'll play the bit of a cynic or the devil's advocate over here. That I mean, of course, I mean that's a part of it and nothing wrong, but it wasn't just a brand building exercise for Jugal, considering that I mean there are certain other names like you said, Nopur, Kesidas, Kanguram, Bhimnag, which honestly are slightly more known, if not more known than. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong in building the brand or in building any brand. I mean, it's a business at the end of it, but it wasn't like, how did the industry react to it?
They were actually pretty glad. Like we invited the Mishti Udog and like the associations that were there, and they were so happy with the Jugal table that we had, especially the stakeholders. Everybody, we got everyone involved and see like, yo, we deserve the recognition that And I wanted to pay a tribute to my stakeholders as well, like my dudwala, my chini wala, my chachwala, and like, yeah, we've crossed 100, and this is our celebration, and this is what we want to do, and pay you a tribute back. Like this, you are the people behind the brand, and without you, we wouldn't have been. And they were so happy. They were so happy. So we've had Bhimnag was there, Kisidas was there. They were all like hanging out and chilling, and so it was kind of nice. But then I really wish that we could have had more advertising, but we didn't. Like it was a very and it was a very small team. I really, really wish we paid more attention towards advocating for the festival itself, where the more people would show up. But yeah, well, the first day we had close to 600 people registered, and the second day we had like 700. ভেবেছিলাম আরো হবে, but it didn't. So, and then post the event, when I was posting on social media, etc., everyone was like, when did this happen? Why wasn't I told? And I'm like, I don't know. I tried my best to let everybody know, but I didn't know what was wrong. But hopefully if we do it next year, I'm definitely going to focus more on advertising the event.
Well, I wouldn't be disheartened by that, but I'll take 2 points of it. First of all, the fact that I mean, I did see that there was this gentleman from KC Das, the senior person, but the fact that the other families came in and felt good, and also your tribute to the people who've grown in the business is an excellent idea. I wouldn't feel that disheartened by what you were saying. Are you there? I think she's got a bit.
I'm not disheartened, but I really wish there were more people that knew. There were more people.
No, what I'm saying is that
I really wish, like there was a lot of money spent on it.
No, I know, because you've got the town hall, which is a fabulous sort of venue. Like everyone was talking of the venue, and getting people on from out of town, and their travel, their stay, and all of that. But you know what? Like it's a lot of it is organic, and like even when you used to do the Times Kitchen Tales, which was backed by the Times of India, and ads would come in TOI, and their social media and stuff. But there would be so many people who tell us later, oh, why didn't we know about it and stuff. So so even and there's so much happening, and it's also winter, so there's this exhibition, that exhibition. But and even in Upper Crust Festival, which I'm a part of for the last couple of years, it's a 20-year-long exhibition in Bombay. And it's probably the only one in food, which has been so consistent. But it's in South Bombay, and in Bombay, travel's a big issue. So yeah, so I wouldn't be too disheartened, especially given it's a first-time effort and so unique. And also a lot of word has spread on social media, and people have spoken about it. So I think that's a great start. So I think that it's something to build upon. And yeah, so that's been great. So you were talking about scale, and I was thinking of some of the things which you were very passionate about. And so one was the entire thing of the karigors, the karigors, the people who sort of work, the craftsmen, and so which are there in every industry across India. But if you look at it, like whether it's the weavers or anything like that, we are going more and more into mechanization, and even whether it's making samosas or stuff like that, more and more mechanization is happening, and that's leading to more and more scale. So on the one hand, you were talking of the need to sort of preserve and support karigars. On the other hand, you're talking about scalability. So do you not see a bit of a dissonance over there?
No, actually, no. So there are two parts to it. One is, first of all, there are no transitioning programs to bring these in Bengal. I'll speak just for Bengal and my industry, because that's what I do. Like there's no transitioning program where you can, like if you go to Chandigarh, or if you go to like the north or the south, there are people that are trained, like there are programs that will transition you from like being a handmade person to somebody who's able to finish it in large scale machinery. But Mishti is so different. So even if you go to, say for instance, any of these festivals where there's not festivals, the conventions, like the one organized by the World Mithai Convention, and there's so many machineries that will come in where you can scale, like you can pump out 1,000 gulab jamuns in like 20 minutes or whatever it is. But then when it comes to Sandesh and Rasgulla you can, and the North has adopted it where they're making mishti, but then it's not spongy. Like the aeration through a handmade, the beauty of Bengali Mishti, Sandesh, Rasgulla, Chanar Mishti. It is so different. And there was this gentleman from Bangalore who said, like, yes, we should work on how to aerate the Mishti, because the moment you put the chena in it, it becomes pisa.
Yeah.
Like it becomes completely smooth and yeah, and it's difficult to make it spongy. So if you have a canned Rasgulla from, say, Chandigarh, and then you have a Rasgulla from a local Mishti shop in Kolkata, they're heaven and hell different. Like it's very different, and you'll see it's more dense, this is more spongy. But if you want to keep the there has to be more, if you want to keep the tradition intact and the recipes intact, there has to be more work where you work with the Bengali stakeholders, the Bengali mishti makers. And Sandesh, for instance, it doesn't travel. So even if you want to put Sandesh in a machine and pump out 100 or 100,000 or whatever it is, it's just not possible. There is not enough machinery to scale the Bengali Mishti business. Yes, there's for Gulab Jamun. There is for Rasgulla. Again, not feasible for Bengali Mishti. There is for any, just give me 1 second.
Sure. I'm pausing the recording.
Yeah, so but for Sandesh.
Yeah, you're talking about Sandesh.
So there's nothing for Sandesh. You can't scale Sandesh. Sandesh has to be handcrafted. There's no way to with chache fele, when you use the wooden molds and you take one Sandesh out with this finger, you press one. There's this ulto, like a pressed side to it, which is the back of it, which kind of has like a concave back. That you will not get. It's almost like a gourmet product where you're making cheese or bread at the store every day fresh, like using fresh flour, fresh whatever it is. And it's the same. Every mishti wala deals in either chana, primarily doodh, kacha doodh, which is raw milk. And then the entire process is like every single day. So acta choto, like a small mishti shop, will also make at least 50 varieties of mishti. And then it's made fresh
if
every
you go to a
day.
sweet shop, there'll be so many mishtis over there. Yeah.
And that's made every day fresh using raw milk. So it starts from raw milk, and there's so many textures, so many varieties. I don't think it's possible to achieve it. Ghee and mawa mishti, on the other hand, it is easy because that's what you need. The pak is to pisa. Like you want to make it smooth, you want to make it, it's not granular. But Sandesh is different pak, the kacha pak, norom pak, kora pak. The granules are different. It is so different when you taste a kacha package like a Sandesh, where it'll be chalky but still creamy. The norom pak will be again chalky but less creamy. The kora pak is crumbly. It's so different, and I don't think any machinery or anything can replace that. And
so how will the scale happen? And
I think training centers, we're actually working on figuring out how to get funding and bring in more people to learn about Mishti. Say, for instance, there two things that always pop to my mind is, one is Mishti karkhanas are not clean. No matter what you say, they're not clean. They're filthy, they're disgusting, and it's not up to the standard how it should be, especially Agekar time it could have worked because there was not a lot of pollution, there was not the heat, the temperatures were not that high, whatever it is. But time has changed. And access to social media has kind of like reflected that. They're not clean. There are certain things that
karigars... the shops weren't clean. And even Parar Dukan, I remember going, if in the afternoon there would be this blue cloth on the display, so they'd lift it out and all the flies would fly out. They would take it out. It was a done thing, you know. You know.
But I think I know what you're saying.
Maybe
but
Jugal and the it didn't happen, but all the Parar Dukan, it would happen.
But no, amaderও ভীষণ দেরি হয়েছে. It's the transition. But even if you go into the big shops, there are machis, then nobody cares. And like, especially the karkhana and the dokandars where people are working, they come from very different families. Like they come from villages. Their lives and our lives are very different. For them, primarily, it is a male dominant household. For instance, when they go home, their clothes are done by their wives or their mothers or their sisters. Their everything is done by the women in the household. So they're not used to cleaning up after themselves or whatever it is. It's kind of odd when you come where you're making bread and butter, you don't practice cleaning up after yourself. It's like ota amar kajna. Like there's still that class system. There's like I remember offering one guy at the store. I'm like, hey, Shonna, like, yeah, like, hey, can we like this? There's this cleaning thing that needed to be done at the store. I was like, you know what? Instead of me hiring somebody else, I will give you a raise. Will you do it? The first answer was ota amader kaj na. That's not my job. Matlab, ota amar niche jater job. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's below my
yeah. And it's kind of like, so to educate that, to feel, how do you break that? How do you reduce that gap where they come from a completely different universe? There is no program to try, because we have access to social media, we have access to cellular lives, we have access to travel so much, but they're kind of stuck in their own ways. And I don't think a lot has changed for them. Yeah. So do we kick them out? Like, what do we do? Like, do we kick them out? Do we educate them? So I think educating them dhire dhire, it's again a marathon and not a sprint. It's important, but it is going to take a while. It is definitely going to take a while.
I'm going to come to this particular aspect, but because it's something which you feel strongly about, and it was a big part of the literary festival, the sexism, so this thing. But I just want to close. Like you said, there's a lot of individuality to Bengali sweets, and the parts which you spoke about made me feel really hungry. And we didn't still discuss the Mishti doi, but. And which now made me realize that, in Bombay, most non-Bengali sweet shops have this section called Bengali sweets, and people go and buy it. So when I got married, my wife is Parsi, so my mom-in-law said, I love Bengali sweets. And which one? Malai chom. So there are these two things, they're two dense things, they're stuck together with a level of cream inside, khoya. Sort of, or whatever. So the other thing is, like in Bombay, a lot of people like the syrupy things because that's like easier to sort of compare with a gulab jamun or a rasgulla. But there's no sandesh. I mean, the reference point would be a barfi or something like that. So I was just thinking when you spoke, like one chef Ranveer Brar, and we were in a talk about home chefs, and he was saying that perhaps home chefs should not try to be restaurants. So when I was talking to you, I was thinking that you also spoke about scale. So in something where there's so much of art involved, should one think of scale, or should one go the French or even the Japanese omasake where you say that you have to come here? The Japanese say that I went to this place called the French Bastards in Paris, for example, where they said that our croissants get us sold off by 8 a.m. So or the omasake in Kyoto, most of them are kept only for the Japanese who can speak that language. It's not meant for foreigners, because any foreigners compared to be a barbarian to have that. So it's something which can work in conjunction with tourism, and you have to come there to experience it. I mean, why will I make? I mean, for example, Sweet Bengal, I think, had got karigors over from Kolkata, so they have some semblance of quite decent sweets. But otherwise, it's. So, what's your thoughts on that? Will you?
So that's I think I don't know if you were there.
Would you, as a next generation, be willing to do that?
No, that's the thing. So scale, মানে আমি এটা বলছি না, when I say scale, I don't say like, oh, go open 100 outlets in India. But I'm saying for me to get buyout and have an exit strategy, like say for instance, they want to buy out 10, 20 or 50 Parad Mishti Dokan, and they want to brand it as their own or whatever it is. Whatever financial opportunity which will benefit the stakeholders, that gets missed out because there's no data. There's no data because they want to see the hard data. That's what I was meaning about scale.
Okay.
The second is I don't know if you were there during the opening speech. I actually said, like, I want Mishti to be a
No,
medium.
I was fighting a migraine in the hotel room.
No,
So
no, that's okay. I actually did say that India was, Kolkata was named one of the top places to eat in the world, and I want Mishti to be a medium of export, a medium, not a medium of export, but a medium of import of people.
yeah,
So people come here and eat the real deal. It's not. I don't want them to kind of
like a fuchka, it can't be transported.
yeah,
You have to go and sweat your hands.
correct.
You
I
know,
agree. I
or see the
agree.
fuchka
And
wala
why not?
sweat it
Like,
out. Yeah.
so the entire sector can actually be uplifted, upgraded in a certain way where it could be a chain of gourmet stores or whatever it is. It's Mishti, and it could be. You're right. It could be tied up with the tourism sector, and there could be tours. I know Shibendu and all, they do little tours,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it
yeah.
could be bigger than that. It
But
could be
that could be the
definitely bigger.
beginning. Like for example, when I used to do my finely chopped food walks, I now do it in a very customized manner. But when I started doing that in 12, 13, and I continued it for 5 years, at that time there were no food walks in Bombay. Then I got busy with food writing, and now there are at least 4 or 5 companies and who are doing it regularly, and I'm happy for it because I've moved out of it. But like you said, Shivendu, he's doing it at this point, but there'll be a point where he can sustain it to a certain extent because he's doing it alone. So either he hires people who takes it on, or he steps back. But then there'll be other people who will take it
Yeah.
on. And
Especially if they tie up with like the travel agencies that
yeah,
bring in
yeah,
groups and stuff in Kolkata.
hmm.
I see a lot of foreigners now back again on the
Yeah,
street.
yeah, yeah.
I'm finally seeing a lot of tourism
Like
again thriving.
Manjeet's Calcutta photo walks,
That's
Manjeet
nice.
Nanso's. So we've been very defensive. So why shouldn't people come to Kolkata to? But there, and I remember one of the things which has come up probably in our panel discussion, and there was a question as well, on the second panel, that the youth of Kolkata is moving away from Mishti. Like, there was a big Instagram chat doing that day, or even in the previous day where I don't think you were there, but that there's a lot of beauty which can be done on Instagram on cheesecakes. But I don't believe that because I believe that
It's not that. I'll tell you what. So you
beauty
remember
is in the eye
Papri?
of the beholder. So if you feel that a Kora Park or an Indrani or Lady Kini or all of that, if you see it's beautiful, then you can photograph it very beautifully.
I
And
agree.
not
I
with
agree. But
props and
then
all of that, but you just focus on that. You'll make it look very. How are thali shots like dominating Instagram these days? Yeah, go ahead.
I know. I agree. I agree. But
Ah,
so you remember Papri, right? The one who kind of did your panel. She was
that's
the
the second
moderating the
panel.
panel. So
Yeah.
she was yes. So she's the one who um so I took her from we were Heritage Academy, the media school. They invited us for a brand pitch. So there were, I believe, 7 ki 9 college groups that pitched us, where they wanted to pitch like how to take the branding forward of Jugals. And she was the winning team, and she was a part of the winning team. And I was like, you know what, I need you. So the common theme of these 20 21 year olds is one thing: we want an Instagrammable corner, and we want the store to look nice so that when I put up the plate, Shalpata plate, I want the store, the background to look nice. All they want is aesthetic. They don't care. They love Mishti, but the reason why they will go to the Manjini's and not the Mishti store is because the Manjini's, it has nice lights. It has nice, like the aesthetic is very different. Like, I'm not saying they will go to a Manjini's, whatever it is. I'm
I
just
know what
giving you
you
an
mean. I
example.
know. Yeah.
They would rather, and the finishing of Monjini's is very different. But at a Mishti shop, if you go in a gamcha and like, it doesn't look aesthetic to them, right? They want to be cool and they want to be hip and what, and it's fair. I think that's a fair ask. We can just a little like beautify our stores a little bit, even with like traditional artwork. We can kind of make it look nice and clean it, and that's also something that we have to adhere to. Like, they are the young generation, they are the ones who are going to start making money, and that's their need. That's what the market is needing, and we have to kind of listen to what the customer needs. It cuts the OTT ki, uh,
OTP. Yeah, yeah.
what was the thing? You know
OTP.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
OTT Deva Bhava, like if your guests are saying this is what I
Oh,
need, my
OTT,
guests at my
OTT Deva Bhava. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if my guests are saying this is what I need, you give it to them. And I've taken that very seriously. And I'm hoping within the next 1 or 2 years we can fix that. And if anyone who sees this podcast or whatever, and if there's a Mishtiwala who sees it, please beautify your store, because that's what the kids need. Like, they really want to just Instagram the crap out of it.
Yeah,
And what is
and it's ironical because if you look at the trend worldwide, and especially post-COVID, the trend has been a movement towards the basic, going
yeah.
back to the basic, the essentials, the lost recipes or the home recipes and the thalis, and including amongst the youngsters across, there's been this thing around chole bhature stores and rajma chawal, and in the south as well. But our Bengali,
MBA chai wala, all of that.
but our Calcutta kids, and I follow some of them on Instagram because we met, so I follow whoever I meet. I mean, they're all going to these modern cafes and this, that, and taking pictures. So I think that, there's a bit of a mindset shift. I think maybe because
I
they're
think
not,
Calcutta is still behind.
yeah,
Calcutta is very behind.
yeah, but again, like if you look at a Mishti Dokan, if you see the way the Mishti is, or if you spoke of a Gamcha Alagai, which is with the if the youngster in Bombay, this thing and all did it, they were like, for example, Mumbai foodie, which has got huge following and they make a lot of money. So they make money through the modern brand shoots, but they're consciously doing like, heritage sort of things or family hole in the wall stuff, because that makes people take them seriously. So it's a
Yeah.
bit sad that, for example, like I happened to write about Jugal when I was just there, and I was having biryani, and I just happened to walk in up, and it was appealing to me. But no one writes about these things, and I won't say it's a youth thing, because and I think Calcutta youth need to awaken to this, because that's a trend worldwide. So you need to see that.
I think Calcutta is very behind. I think it's like, how we grow up. I grew up with like watching 70s and 80s shows. So I'm kind of stuck in the United States 70s. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
my idea.
The classic
So
rock.
like,
Yeah, yeah. All
like
of
we
us.
were like behind, right? But
Yeah,
now we're catching up. But I think Calcutta is still lagging. Like
yeah,
Bombay, Delhi,
yeah,
they've all come at par with the
yeah,
West, but we're
yeah.
kind of like
Yeah,
very behind,
and
laid
what
back.
people don't realize, I mean, maybe I won't be allowed in the next time, but and this is something which goes across India, I feel, that in Japan, in France, maybe even in say Morocco and all of that, they have so much pride in their own stuff, is that they are not willing to make a change. So
I
you come
agree.
here.
I wish we could wear that badge, but
So, for example, like, say if it's a sushi, it has to be like, if you see the sushi with mayonnaise and all that, that's been done in California. It's not been done in,
but Japan has kind of
like,
changed, like avocados,
yeah,
and all of that.
yeah, or the Italians, they will do it in a particular way or something like that. So I don't know, like, or the French, you have, and the irony is that um, if you look at international food happening in India, um, except at a few places like maybe Mumbai or some flashes in Mumbai or Delhi or something, you will never match what is there abroad. Like the water is
Oh,
different, produce is different. Um, the person making it probably has never tasted it or gone abroad, so it'll never be the same. But you can do your thing very well. But okay, now that's pet grounds of mine. So before we close, I want to speak of something very important, because this show is Foodocracy for, and it's about women in and F&B, and this is something which you champion a lot. And there was at least one, if not more, panels on that. I saw one where Asma and folks were there, which is about the sexism in the Mishti industry and food industry in general, because it's always been main chefs and so on, and a lot of hotels like Oberoi, Calcutta, and some others, they employ karigars, because for the weddings and stuff, those also all male. The moiras, the people who make it all are male. So what's your point of view on
so
that?
really, they employ them? They don't teach the kids, like they don't teach the chefs and all?
Sorry.
They employ Moiras and stuff. They don't.
No. So what they do is there's this concept of master chef. So even for people who make the kebabs, the tandoors, or Indian food,
I see what
you know,
you're saying.
the biryani, there would be master chefs who do it, because till recently, the catering colleges would be more Frenchified cooking. So even
I
people
agree.
like Ranveer and all told me, Ajay Chopra and all these chaps, that it's only when they got into, you know, the thing, they would learn. So and similarly, like say Oberoi Grand, for example, in Calcutta, during the weddings, they would need Mishti, which would match up to the client's demands. So they would get, so they have Myras who work with them. Similarly in Oberoi, Bombay and stuff, because they won't be trained in college, and no kid will want to learn, you know, Mishti making.
I know. It's
Yeah.
weird. Like
So
our head karyagars.
they'll want to know how to emulsify something, or how to make the proper pana chocolate or something like that. But you know, yeah,
But it's sad because,
yeah,
like,
it is
say for
sad.
instance, the head
Yeah,
karyagars in Mishti shops, they make close to like 900 to 1100 rupees per day. Per day,
yeah,
which is a lot. But
yeah.
then we want industry graduates to come, like IHM or whatever it is. We want the graduates to come work with us, because if you come work with us, then you will help us. You will teach us what you learned, and then we will be able to fix the things. But they'll never work with us. They'll work at a Taj with a 6,000 rupees internship. But like it's kind of weird, because like we want people to come into the industry and teach us the way, show us the way. Because I'm never going back to IHM and studying what is
Yeah,
happening. I'd rather hire someone. But
yeah.
I have interviewed people. They're like, no. I'm like, but this is a growth trajectory. We could bring you in, and then you teach us. Like we develop a plan together. This is a strategic work. This is not where you're serving plates or whatever it is. It's a strategic planning. And I don't think that mindset is here, where strategic planning they want to be the blue collar of the hotel
Or the
industry.
celebrity chef. You know,
Yeah.
but that's and I'll tell you how that's changed. So initially, like I said, I mean, hotels have been, I mean, largely French, like, and not even Asian, Far East Asian or this thing, completely the French school. And a lot of the, you know, the modern chefs who have been the Indian in the forefront of Indian, they've all done French, this thing, and they've joined Taj, Oberoi, and all that. But there was a whole lot of them who at the same time wanted to do Indian food, and they're all the same batch, roughly. So there's Vikas Khanna, there's Ranveer Brar, there's Ajay Chopra. You know, Vineet Bhatia is a bit elder to them, but you know, the whole, so there's a whole you know, range of them who've, like, you know, have been pass outs of 2 to 3 years within each of them. Uh, so from the same colleges, same batches, and they've all largely worked in either the Taj or Oberoi. So they've been batchmates of each other, and even Pratik Sadhu, and you know, and they've all wanted to do Indian food. And so what they did, including Chef Harminder Sandhu and all. So then they went to the, you know, the Indian kitchens and to the in their hotels and to the karigar. I remember Chef Harminder Sandhu saying that she went to the kitchen and she said that she wanted to learn how to run the tandoor. And they looked at her and said that you are a woman and you will not be able to lift the stuff. So
Oh
she
God.
stood by them and said, "No, I will." And she only got the respect when, you know, she stood by the tandoor for an event or maybe in a wedding, and, you know, shoulder to shoulder getting the stuff. And also, I mean, there's a different issue with women, because the belief is that, you know, they don't have the strength to send them to the patisserie. So it's when that movement happened, and then a few of them became celebrity chefs. So that is when the kids wanted to become that. So we
That's
probably,
good. That's great. I had
yeah,
no
so,
idea, but that's
yeah, no,
amazing.
but that's see
Is
all
that the
these,
way?
yeah, see, a lot of these things are happening, which I think is not really leveraged across the country. So, for example, um, I've sort of traveled across the country and have had the opportunity to know a lot of them. And since they're based in Bombay and Delhi, and it's a small circuit, so probably people in Calcutta or this thing are probably not that exposed to it, except, you know, folks like Onindo and Indroit now and this thing who are, you know, in that circuit. So maybe what you can do next year is that invite some of them. Invite some of them, because they all believe in, like, Ranveer Brar is a
I'd
big
love
fan of,
to. I had no idea.
no,
Like that'll
Ranveer
be
Brar is a
great.
big fan of Kolkata and
Are you friends with Ranveer Brar?
Yeah, I am.
Please tell him he's super hot. I have said that. Please,
Yeah,
eight
I
up.
will. I will. I met him just yesterday at
Please
time.
tell him that Lahana said that you're super
Yeah,
hot.
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure many people have many. I was about to say many women, but why be sexist? Just saying.
Oh,
But
God.
he's a big fan of Kolkata. Then
Yeah, he was at our store actually. I saw one of his
yeah,
things that pop up, and I
yeah.
was watching it. I was like, "Holy crap, that's in our store!" And I was like so excited. Like,
Some
why
of
did I
them
not
have
know about this? Why wasn't I given a phone call? Like,
some of them have Bengali wives. Anil Bhasin's. I don't know if Ranveer's wife is also Bengali, but
he's married.
yeah, he's married. He's married. I'm very sorry to break the news to you.
Oh
But
God,
you should see in social media, he's got a very sweet kid who wears a
he
turban
has a
and
kid
stuff.
too, and I'm
Yeah,
happy for him. But
yeah.
he's off the market then.
Yeah, yeah. All these chefs really strongly believe in it. In fact, Chef Vineet Bhatia, and I'll show you later. I've got his book somewhere here. He's actually published a book called Mithai or something like that, where it's only on Indian sweets. It's somewhere there, so I can't get it for you right.
Yeah, I'd love to know more. Like, I'd
So
love to know. And next year,
it's a self-published book, and it's hardcover, which is on mithai. So it's just sweets and a lot of recipes for that. So all these gentlemen are big. So if you can harness them, and if the kids see them, then forget the kids in Kolkata. From all the items they'll come. Then of course from Calcutta, but you need to have. So for example, when we were growing up, then Bengali films would be largely Taposh Pal, Chiranjit, and Proshenjit, right? Proshenjit is of course still there, but I would like to believe, and from what I gather, that the pride in Bengali films today or Bengali music today is much more than when I was growing up. I must confess that I don't really follow it too much,
neither
but
do I.
yeah, but among my friends and stuff, there's a lot of excitement about seeing Bengali films and Bengali, yeah, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah,
especially abroad in the
yeah.
diaspora, definitely.
No,
Like, we should
and
bring
even the
Parul into
cities,
that.
with so many actors and so many things. So there's a lot of, so we need to create that about Mishti. But coming back to what we
I
started,
know we keep steering away.
we started and we'll end with. Tell me about women in this industry, and how can they be brought in, and do we need to bring them in?
I think so. I definitely think you should bring in women because the women are the gatekeepers of the recipes, right? At home, barite ma, bon, sister, amma, thamma, they are the ones making these recipes and they are the ones safeguarding these recipes. But then for some reason, when they go to a Mishti shop to make an income, this door is always closed. It is always closed. And I remember the first time I brought in girls to the store, everyone revolted. They're like, "Ishab ki hocche?" Why like this? And it's so belittling, right? It just breaks you, and you see it right in front of you happening. But then there's again an issue, right? There's an issue that Mishti dokan nongra. I promise you, bring in two girls in the karkhana, it'll be chak like this. I'm
Like
not even kidding. Like
toilet
there are
facilities and all that
issues.
also.
Exactly. There is none. I had to literally like no, I need a washroom separate for women. So now I have staff which are women that work in the front when sales কাজ করে. So I thought I'll pull them out of the kitchen and just I'll put them right just to sales work, and then they can gradually integrate. So now they're kind of comfortable working around them. And then finally so now the stores are much cleaner because the women are instinctively, especially Indian women, mostly the class of people that we hire, they come from a very gochano families. Like they're taught to keep things clean. They're taught to, and it's like I think mostly women. I'm not saying all women, but most women have this idea of tidiness, which men, especially in
Men will
India,
just leave the
don't
towel
have.
on the bed. Men will leave the towel. I mean, lockdown has
I agree.
made
I
us,
agree.
once you had to do, clean the kitchen and the bathroom yourself. Otherwise, yeah. And in fact, it's a bit funny that abroad I've been to Michelin-starred restaurants or molecular restaurants. Not too much. It's not my beat. So only it's like Singapore, for example, when the government booked me there. But at the end of it, all the chefs only were cleaning up.
I
You know,
know. So I worked at KFC when I was in university, and I remember. So I worked as a cook, and I worked in the front as a like a cashier. So I was taking orders, and I was going back, and then it was our duty to clean our stations.
Yeah.
Everyone had to clean their own stations.
Yeah,
There's no class
regardless
system
of
that
guy or girl.
happened. Yeah.
Regardless of guy
So
or girl.
in my shop, I will go pick up the broom and I will clean. I will pick up the broom, I will pick up the mop, and I will clean. And then like, "Arey didi 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 কেন করছো এটা তোমার কাজ না এটা করো না." I'm like, I have no shame. It's my place. I will clean the way I want to clean it. But then everyone, like customers, will come, "Didi, why are you doing it? Why are you doing this? What is happening? काम नहीं है क्या? कोई आदमी नहीं है क्या? किसी को बुला लीजिए." Like this mentality, like to clean your own space or your own zone and your station. There's this, I think that the class category comes in.
But I think that when you're talking of class, because see, there's gender and class, but I think that in Kolkata, or no, it's across India, right? If the owner, so if you're a guy, starts doing what would be considered menial jobs, then, but I was thinking of like a lot of my places which I go to where you're fond of here, Aswad and all that. I mean, it's all largely men dominated because maybe they've never thought of it. But I think that now the fact that there are women like you who are running it, the differences can be sort of happen. Like, for example, you have Doma Wang, so her daughter Puchu,
yeah.
Sariko, we also used to call him Puchu. So it's still a largely male staff, but at least she's there. Then Manzilat's got an all-women staff. It's also a small operation, so she want to keep it to that way. But at least a start's happening. So I think someone like you, where you're in charge, you can. But
So.
yes, but is that somewhere you want to go to? Because I also remember one of the points of discussion in the panel was that maybe the women can also bring in a certain finesse, which the more nikhut, if that's the word, like more nimble fingers, and the product can sort of improve. And so, and which is very funny because if you see five-star hotels, is the other way around, that the patisserie is the women's domain, and women are fighting to come out of the patisserie and get into the main kitchen. So there's a different fight happening over there for women. So they're already in patisserie, so they want to come into like Ranna Kora, and here, I mean,
I think women should be allowed to do whatever they want. There should not be this segregation where you're like picking or whatever it is.
But here women are nowhere. Here, I mean,
I know, but I want to focus specifically on the issues. The issue is that the staff retention and the staff quality of staff, I think I can improve if I bring in women. Mishti banano is not rocket science. It definitely is tedious, and it is like even pastry making is not rocket science. If you learn the trade, you can excel at it. You practice, you excel at it. And I think if you bring in women, I genuinely believe the current solution, that the current issue that we have, or the problem that we have, which is Mishti Karkhana Nongra, they can be eradicated. Like they'll be clean as F. Like I'm not even kidding. I genuinely have seen it through my eyes, and I know it is possible. Like the way they talk to customers or treat customers, your customer retention increases. And when you hire women, the what is that called? The churn rate reduces. All of that. There's so much data that backs it already. And like I genuinely believe that practice could help the industry. And that's my goal. Like by 2025, I want to have at least 50% of my staff which are women. Right now we're at 20, so we want to go up to 50%, and then hopefully
in 2025.
2025, yes.
That's just 2 years. That's maybe given the spirit, it might be even maybe more than 50%. So I'm quite confident.
I hope so.
Yeah. Before closing, I mean, there's one example that just struck me, so I'm going to tell you about her. I know it's Western and all of that, but Pooja Dhingra. So I have seen her grow it's been, I think, 13 years for her, and I've known her right from the beginning. I've seen her grow, and I'm very proud of her. Just proud of her as she's grown. I've got nothing to do with her growth.
I know. I got it.
But I've seen, in so many cases where, young girls have come up to her, written to her. We've been in, say, common events where they've this thing. where, where a lot of people, a lot of especially young girls have said that, after seeing you, we wanted to be like you. And we've told your parents that told our parents this is what we want to be, because we want to be like Pooja. So I'm again saying that you just need a role model. Yeah, the moment you crack it, like you crack a role model, and they say, and I think to start with, I think you're a pretty good role model to start with. And yeah, I mean, you're a role
Thank
model
you.
for women
I hope
to get
I
in.
could create the
Yeah,
way for a lot
yeah,
of girls.
for women to get
I
into
mean,
Mishti.
I've been like advocating and like manipulating Mishtiwala's daughters and be like, you have to come back and like
Yes.
get in
Yeah,
the business
the
and
sisterhood.
yada yada yada. I like
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
go and come back.
yeah, the badass sisterhood of
Yes,
Mishti. So you know what? I
yes.
mean,
So
I've
there
got this.
is. I actually found. Have
Uh,
you heard of Shurjo Modo?
yeah, Shurjo Modok. No, I don't know, but
Have you
yeah,
heard of Chandanagar? That
no. I
yeah.
think
So
Onindo
the
did covered it in his show. I'm not too sure in
I'm
his
not sure. I'm
uh,
not sure.
because
But
he's from
his
Chandramukhi. Yeah.
his son, uncle's son, uncle doesn't have a son. He has two daughters, and Bhagoshri is the one taking over. And I'm
Ah,
so proud and so happy to see like she's like just killing it. I like Bhagoshri is like somebody who's she's phenomenal. She's much younger to me, but she's ekdam puro joshe mishti dokane like, and it's not because she's seen me. It's because
yeah,
she
yeah.
wanted to do it.
No,
And
no,
her
no.
sisters moved away from the business, but it's her who's running it with her father, shoulder to shoulder. I am so proud of her. I love her.
And this
Like,
is, this, I mean, when one says sisterhood is not meant to be, what, these days you never know, like, what is considered to be sexist or this, that.
I
But,
know we have to be politically correct.
there's Pooja over here, Sanjana Patel, there's Kainaz of Theorema. So there's a whole lot of them, Annie of Nutcracker. So they're all supporting each other because they don't see each other. Some of them are in competing businesses, but they all support each other. So yeah, so I'm just finishing editing my show, which is called Chai Mumbai, Tea in Bombay, and I was thinking of
Oh, that's
taking
so cool.
Mumbai to different cities, but maybe it's time to do, maybe after this, to do a Mishti Kolkata.
Please, would love to. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's manifest that and make that happen.
Yes,
Yes.
please,
So on
please.
that note, Mishti and I don't know, Mishti Mohilas of Kolkata. No, that sounds like a bit, Pradeep sort of movie. But on that note, congratulations to you and the family on 100 years. I think
Thank
congratulations
you.
to you on the wonderful initiative for literary.
Thank you for being a part of this. I know
No,
it
no,
was a rocky, it was
no,
a
no,
very rocky thing,
no,
but
no,
hopefully
no,
next
but
time we'll kind of hone it. We're not event managers. We kind of
yeah,
try to
no,
do
but
it without event managers.
it's always great to be a part of things at the start. And yeah, and all the best for you to in your thoughts to sort of make the tradition sort of go ahead and bring in the sisters into it.
Yes,
So
yes, I
yes,
will.
yes.
I
And
will.
let's make Mishti Kolkata happen.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you. I
thanks.
hope we can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.